Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Juntos with Kathy. This is our weekly show that we do where we bring on different people who are doing interesting and fun things here in the community to make it a better place. So today I'm very excited about the guest that we're going to have. You're going to hear her story, find out a little bit how she got there, and also how she enjoys being on our foundation board. But before that, I just want to give a little PSA. We just announced our 2021 Estrellas. And tickets are available for the event, and they're in limited capacity because this year we're going to be over at Mesa Mercado, Ernesto Delgado's restaurant in Carmichael. So we're really excited. So we're taking over the whole restaurant for this event, and we're going to celebrate our 4 estrellas. So please go to our website. You can go there, and it's sachcc.org/estrellas, and you'll be able to purchase your tickets. So make sure you do that today because we want to make sure that you're there. So today we have with us Christina Romero Spagnoli, and she is a Deputy Secretary for Legislation at GovOps, and she's also one of our newest Foundation Board Directors. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you very much.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you. I know this has taken a while to get you to be here on screen, and I know part of it was juggling schedules and mostly juggling schedules, right? So something that, people need to know about you, which I admire greatly, is that not only are you in this position that you have that I know there's a lot of responsibility for, but you also have a pretty big family, and you recently had twins.
Yes, I did.
Right? So between all of that, to find time to come on the show with us, we really appreciate it. So
thank you. I'm honored to be here.
We're so excited about that. So you know what, we're going to start kind of in the middle, and then we're going to go backwards a little bit, because I was sharing with you before we came on screen that I was reading a little bit more about you, and I was really interested in your beginnings and how you got to where you are right now. But where you are right now as Deputy Secretary for Legislation in the GovOps is, let's be honest, it sounds like a big thing, right? Which I know that it is. But can you tell us, one, what does that exactly mean?
Okay. Yeah, of course. So it's GovOps, and what we do is we do government operations for the state. And so we have about 11 departments and 2 or 3 offices underneath. And what my position is I'm one of the Secretary's deputies. And the way that I got there was through a gubernatorial appointment by Governor Newsom. And so I had to apply for the appointment just like anyone would do by going to his website, gov.ca.gov. And there's an application and information about the positions that are open. But it was an honor for me to be appointed, and a long road to get there. But I think folks get to appointments through various different avenues, so anyone can apply.
What was it about this particular position that was of interest to you that you wanted to apply for this one particular?
I really liked this position because the departments under government operations are so different. The issue areas that I work on range from tax issues, business and personal, all the way to the Department of Technology and Human Resources, and even procurement. And so I work on all things legislation in those areas.
Can you share, like, for us, what would like a typical day kind of look like for you?
Sure. No, that's okay. I just laugh because in the legislative, political, and policy world, there's pretty much never a similar day. Your calendar is dictated by the legislative deadlines, and then there are various political issues that pop up, member inquiries, legislation that various departments have to opine on, and stakeholder meetings that take place. And so my days can include any of those things.
Okay. So there is a lot going on for you on any given day. So
it's never boring.
That's a plus, right? Because that's what we're looking for, to make sure that our days are not boring. So I think that's always like the positive part of everything. So when you decided, to apply for this, and you found the position that you were most interested in, look at that. But was it the position that drew you to it, or the idea of being a governor's appointee? Like, what draws someone into this realm?
In my situation and in my case, I had been interested in applying for an appointment for many years. And when I was a young ledge staffer, I didn't think I had enough experience. And I was wrong, because there are a number of appointments that are at different levels. And that's why I say anyone can apply, even if you think you don't have the experience. There are so many different positions that the governor and his appointment secretary appoint folks to. You probably do have the experience necessary. In my situation, it was I had been working as a lobbyist at the California Bankers Association. I had coffee with a department head, and she said she wanted me to come work for her with all the experience that I had. And so she helped guide me, along with the then appointment secretary, through the process. And I didn't go work for her, the department head that I'm talking about, because she ended up retiring. But there was the opportunity at GovOps, and I was so excited about it, and specifically chose that that open position, even though there were others, because of what I said before, just the various departments.
That's so great. So one, that it was nice that you were recruited, and then there was this other opportunity that really was something that you felt would be a really great fit for you, even more. So you apply through the process, you found the position that's a good fit for you, and then this is part I'm just curious. So is it like kind of like day one? What does like an onboarding process look like? Is it now you're just part of the team that's there, or is there a different onboarding for you as a governor's appointee?
So I want to go back a little bit to my recruitment, because I've heard women and men talk about how they just fell into positions. And I want to make it really clear that there was a lot of sweat equity I had to put into getting to that place. And most of the positions that I've applied for, I've had to put a lot of work into it. And so all that came and paid off. But I don't want people to think that people just get these positions and it's easy, right? Not the appointment, but rising up.
Yeah.
So when I was onboarded, and I'm so sorry if you hear my kids in the background, but
now, so we're all good.
That's what comes with, working at home. But my appointment, most people at an agency are appointed. And so they are, the agency secretary and other deputies are able to show you the ropes. And that was definitely pre-COVID, but we do see folks popping in and out of being in the office and working at home. And so I slowly learned over time how everything worked.
And so, and I think this is something I know you said, there's a lot that takes, this application process, a lot of sweat equity, to get to where you're at, to keep rising there. So here's something that I wonder about too. So, it's a governor's appointee. So it's a current governor, right, who appoints you. And so say a new governor comes in. Is there, for the people that are appointed right then, is there some sort of transition that happens, or is it immediately when that person comes in? Because I wonder if that's a concern when people look at it. Like, what will happen, am I just basically out of a job, that moment? What does that look like?
I would say it depends on the governor.
Okay.
And no, I don't think that you're out of a job that moment. Sometimes a new governor will have a new recruitment process. They'll have you resubmit an application, or they'll do nothing, and over time you'll find out if you're going to stay or not. But each appointee is subject to the will of that governor.
And is this something for, I guess you can speak to it personally, but just in general too, for those that, go through this process, and there's so much that's gone into it. So it seems that once you're there, this would be a building of a career within a state government. Is that really the intent with most that are there, or some wanting this experience because it's going to take them elsewhere? Like, what have you kind of seen is a common theme?
So some people will stay on board with state government once they're an appointee. if they're thanked for their service and they end up not staying on as an appointee, some people will find a permanent state position. Other people go on to, the private sector. If they were a political, more in the political world, they can go on to lobbying or working possibly at the Capitol or another department. It really just depends.
But it sounds like there's still a lot of opportunity.
Oh, absolutely.
Going to do this, like it opens other doors that maybe you didn't know existed by going this
I think that being an appointee on paper is very attractive to employers.
Right. I think that's good to know. For anyone that's like listening to us and wondering about it. And so kind of shared that, for you, it was also something you kind of probably heard about a little bit, right? From as a Sac State student, you were actually a fellow, through a program that they had there. Is that right?
Yeah. So the fellowship is ran out of Sac State. There are 4 arms to it: judicial, executive, assembly, and senate. And you have to have graduated from college to get into the fellowship. So for me, after I was served my time as student body president in my senior year, I applied to the fellowship, and I was really, really lucky to be admitted. It's a prestigious fellowship.
Yeah.
And so that's how I got into the Jesse Unruh Assembly Fellowship.
Wonderful. And so that was that really your first opportunity of seeing like what the Capitol looks like and how it's run? And
actually, yes.
Right.
I do believe, unless I went there in grade school and don't remember, I do believe the first day at the Assembly Fellowship, or in the Assembly Fellowship, was my first day actually in the Capitol.
Wow, that's amazing.
I might have lobbied there when I was a college student, but I think I did it mostly by phone.
Okay. And that program itself, was that a year program that you went through then after you completed the Sac State?
Yeah, it's 10 to 11 months. Yeah. And that is an excellent opportunity in itself, and it's called the Capitol Fellows Program if folks want to Google it.
Right. And so since you alluded to it, let's, we're, like I said, we started kind of like where you're at, go in the middle, and then go back. So Sac State, you're student body president, right? So there, which I understand there's quite a few people kind of around that are now in, very high profile positions that also happen to be student body president in Sacramento State, right? One is our city councilmember, Eric Guetta.
Yes.
Right. So you're in good company with that.
Yes.
What I love about, hearing that, and then I shared, right? So I try to prepare a little bit more before we meet to find out about, what people are, how they got to where they're at. And you are Christina, so honestly, so you're on our foundation board right now. We've had you at meetings. We kind of, do a lot of work doing that, but I didn't know about how you started and what that looked like. And so if you're okay, I'd kind of like to kind of delve in that. So how did you find yourself at Sac State? Like, how did that start?
Yeah. So when I was 18, I had my son. I grew up in Sacramento, and I had my son at 18. And I was unfortunately widowed by 19. And so I found myself a single, uneducated mom working 3 jobs.
Wow.
And my husband had some health issues before that, so I was supporting our family. And so I worked in the food industry for a little while, in the retail industry, and then I was lucky to get on with a bank and kind of tried to move my way up there. And I found that it was really important to have my education. And I wasn't really going to go as high as I wanted to, beyond where I was at. And I was going to continue to live paycheck to paycheck if I didn't seek out my education. And so through the mentorship of a couple of different people, both at AR and Sac State, a mentor I had was Miguel Molina, Dr. Miguel Molina. And he really, he helped me get admitted to Sac State and do some remedial classes at the time, because I had been out of school for a while.
Yeah.
And so I was for me, I was so lucky to be able to go to Sac State. And for me, it was my Harvard. It was an amazing place to drive into every day. And I found a way to navigate through and get financial aid, and then continue to work at the same time to support my son and I. And then it all kind of went from there. I really focused on my studies and started getting involved politically, because honestly, I wanted to help people who needed help the way that I got help from my community.
So you have a question. So,
okay.
So we're going to take it, and then I'm going to come back to it. So Abraham Reyes wants to know, what made you want to take this career path?
I remember in college, just becoming more interested in policy and how policies that were made by elected officials impacted my life. And as a young college student, and before that, when I was just trying to find my way, I was able to utilize public services and programs that the legislature and the federal government had implemented. And I was really interested in on the other side, some of the injustices that I was seeing. I had a challenge getting childcare. I had challenges navigating healthcare at the time. And so I was really interested in giving back and changing my community and my state. And that it just organically developed from there.
That's so great. I think that one of the key points you just said there is that we see so much that's going on, right? And you have personal experience, like you said, trying to find childcare, healthcare, and and continue your studies at the same time. Right. Is that you also found a way that if you're going to want to make a difference, like reason that we do these weekly shows is allowing people to know how are people making an impact. And your way is that, well, if you want to make an impact, then we have to change policy or make policy, right? That's going to benefit the community.
Or remove policies.
So, the other thing for you, Christina, is that obviously, you have a lot of fortitude and perseverance. That's, probably part of your spirit that's there. Did you find any challenges, also just as a woman and Latina trying to get to this part? And you mentioned your mentors and that you had with Dr. Molina. Were there others along the way that kind of helped guide you to get here?
Yes, I found that every time I was in need, I was able to identify someone who could be a resource, someone who could help give me advice, but I also wasn't quiet about asking. I did meet challenges. Like I said, I was young, uneducated, and I was not promoted in various jobs. And I think that was a mixture of some folks not believing in me, but me not having the tools that I needed as well. And so for people out there who are trying to make their way, I think knowing what resources I guess using your resources, but also being open to asking for help is really important, and then going for it and being prepared as much as you can so that when you have that lucky break, you're prepared to take it on.
I think that's what's so important. I just want to let you know. So Abraham Unsi says, "You're a strong woman, bless your heart."
Thank you very much.
Already making impact here. And so, yeah, and you know what? You just something really important, because I think that's something we don't talk enough about, right? Is we talk about finding mentors and, getting the tools and resources. But part of it is just, having to overcome this fear we have. And because I think it's innate in all of us, right? This fear, if we ask for help, that someone's going to say no, and then I'm stuck.
And they probably are.
Right?
People are going to say no sometimes, and you're going to get rejected sometimes. But more than the no, you're going to hear yes. And so you have to continue to persevere and look for the yes and the opportunities.
Is there, anything that stands out for you in all of this? Because you've got so many poignant moments in there, but what is it that actually drives you, Christina, to keep going? And, to keep wanting to make an impact, because like I said, every step of the way, you've just got building and building and building. But what is it that keeps you going? And what do you, if you don't mind sharing, like kind of ultimately see where you'd like to be?
Sure. What keeps me going is what I see as my obligation to give back to my community and to my state, because there were folks that came ahead of me who made these investments, who maybe had experiences like I did. And now we see further investments in childcare, huge changes in healthcare since the time that I was a young woman. And so I want to continue to add to people's experiences and quality of life. Where I see myself, I hope to continue to give back to folks. I'm not sure at this point where I really see myself is growing old with my family surrounding me, and that was really always my goal, was to have a loving family, to have a thriving family, and we are on our way there. And I hope for everyone to have that.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's true, right? I always say at the end of the day, you know, what matters is what's in your world that you go back to, right? Keeps you focused and set on the goals. I was just curious because you've done so much already, and you keep saying, you know, to the young women when you're fairly young yourself. So I'm just curious if you'd see like on the long stretch there of what that would look like. So as I told you at the beginning, things go really fast. So the last thing I just want to touch on is that you are one of our foundation board directors, which we're really excited to have, you know, to have you there. Can you just share with everyone, like, what was it about the Sacramento Hispanic Chamber that you were willing, given all that you have, commitments that you have, that you were willing to commit, you know, to our organization?
The chamber does so many good things for our community. And as you've heard throughout our conversation, the theme of my life is to give back, and that's an opportunity I have. But also my own background is that my grandparents came from Mexico. My grandfather came as a farm worker. My grandmother was brought in the late 40s by him to Woodland, California, and they worked their whole lives very hard to provide for my parents and then for me eventually. And I see a lot of that in our board, in our members, in our community, is that hard work and the foundations that were laid. And I feel passionately about supporting our small businesses because that's my family too. That's my heritage too, and my background.
That's good. We're so lucky to have you, and I appreciate that you have that similar vision, because I always, you know, share that with people too. When I look at our small businesses, I definitely see exactly what you want for yourself. I see families that are wanting the same thing, to have, you know, thriving families, and our responsibility is to figure out how to make sure our small businesses have the tools and resources they need to be able to accomplish that. So
Yes.
Great to have people like you that share that vision and that know-how and have that history to be able to share. So Christina, thank you so much, you know, for joining us today with Juntos. I appreciate, you know, getting to hear a little bit more about you, me personally, because as I said, this is our first real in-depth conversation we've gotten to have, but for others to be able to hear it too. I think it's always important for people to realize that what we see right now, there was a lot to get to this right now. And I think you should be willing to share a little bit about what that was like, and then the importance of, you know, going to Sacramento State and how that was able to, you know, really elevate and lift your entire family to continue to keep going, is, I think, something that's really valuable for people to hear too. So are there any last words you want to share with anyone?
Yeah, I just want to say, you know, post-COVID, I think a lot of folks are experiencing economic hardship. They're recovering on various levels: health, financial, being able to reestablish relationships. And I was there at one point as well, and I was lucky to not be significantly impacted by COVID. But I just want to say, keep going, believe in yourself, and you will rise up.
Great. Well, I can't think of any better words, you know, to end here our conversation. So Christina, thank you so much for joining us today. For everyone that was here with us, this is our weekly show we do juntos. Because as always, the only way we get stronger is with everything that we do together. And today we had Christina Romero Spagnoli with us. And so hopefully you also learned a little bit from her story that will help you, because I think it was incredibly inspiring today. And if you're looking for further inspiration, our Latina Estrella Awards will be on Friday, December 3rd at Mesa Mercado. And we do have limited tickets available for purchase. So if you're interested in coming and meeting more incredible women, and hearing their stories, and be sure to buy your tickets. You can find them on our website at sachcccf.org/estrellas. And with that, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Bye.